What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, man. I'm rocking with y'all, y'all rocking with me. This video, I'm going to be speaking on somebody that I met in county named Demon. I don't know this person. I've had no contact with this person since this happened. I never saw this person again. But this was my first time inside of the county jail at 18 years old, experiencing meeting somebody like this, where I thought he was one type of person, and then heard that he was another. Now, inside of the Hillsborough County Jail, and I'm pretty sure every single jail system in America, you're going to go to court, and you're going to go to court with people that are not in your pod, your dorm, your unit, your wing, whatever you want to call it. And that's exactly what happened. So I was going to court, got onto the bus, I'm shackled up. I sit down, and this big dude sits down next to me. He's probably like 6'3", 6'4", black. Got some size to him. He's got dreads, and he's covered in tattoos. The first thing that he noticed about me, I was covered in tattoos. And I was one of the youngest in there that had that amount of tattoos. So I already had my chest done, the back of my neck, my face, my arms, everything. And being that young, it wasn't that common to be that tatted up. I mean, there were a couple of people that had more than me, but I still had a good bit. And it was somewhat of an icebreaker. When we started speaking, he asked me about my tattoos, where I was getting them done, and he told me that he was a tattoo artist on the street. Now, I told him that I could draw, that I played with a tattoo gun on the street, tattooed a couple of my friends or whatever. And I told him that I tried to be an apprentice at a tattoo shop before. He asked me my charges, and he was trying to get a feel for what I was facing and pretty much how much time I could possibly get. And I asked him, what's up with his case, and he was like, I'm going to find out today. I'm supposed to have trial. I believe it was trial, but it was cut short. We'll get to that further in the video. So I tell him what I'm facing. He's like, that's not too bad. You'll probably get this such amount of time. And it wasn't nothing crazy. I think he said like 5 years. I ended up getting 3 years. Wasn't that big of a deal, but he was telling me if we get out, we link up, he's down to have me as an apprentice as long as I can show him that I can draw and that I'm taking it serious. And he told me how he would travel around. He would go to the islands. I forget what island he was from, but he would travel down to the islands, the West Indies, and pretty much just tattoo and move around place to place. From Miami to Orlando to Tampa to Tallahassee. He would go to Louisiana, tattoo in New Orleans. All of that is all over the place. He would tour and tattoo. Me being 18, that sounds dope because everybody knows the tattoo artists, they're going to get the most. You know what I'm saying? You got all these girls that want to get tatted up. You hanging out, it's partying, whatever. And when you're in jail, everything sounds good. You know what I mean? When you're on the street, a lot of people are less motivated versus when you're in jail and you got time to think like, what do I want to do with my life? You're coming up with all of these ideas and everything was sounding good that he was saying. I would be 100% down to do that. Become a tattoo apprentice, travel around, tattoo, and pretty much hang out. Now, once we get to court, you have to go inside of a holding cell. We were in a massive holding cell before we were put in another holding cell right outside of the courtroom in the hallway. Now, this little ass holding cell, we kept talking and there was probably like 8 people inside of the cell and it's tiny as shit. But that's actually when he introduced himself. We were pretty much talking and speaking only on tattoos while we were on the transfer bus. But that's when he said, his name is Demon. And how that came about is there was a Spanish guy that wanted everyone to pretty much like link up, hold hands in a prayer. And, he wanted to pray for everybody in the room. And he asked Demon to join. He said, nah, I don't pray. I'm a demon. And I'm just looking at him like, what? Like, what you mean, bro? Like, but he was dead serious. He said, nah, my name is Demon. I mean, I wasn't really trying to pray either. I wasn't into all that. But I did it just because it's like, shit, if this can help me out in my case, I'm going for it. And that's usually the reason why you see a lot of people get religious so fast when they're incarcerated. Is because they're just trying to get any bit of help that they can get. And if they believe that whatever God they pray to can help them, they're going to do it. So we all did the prayer except Demon. He was in the corner just looking vicious. You know what I'm saying? Dude's big as shit. And we kept talking. And, his vibe wasn't crazy. He didn't have, an evil demeanor. He spoke like a regular dude. He was just tatted up. But once you've been locked up or you've been in the hood where people are tatted up, you get over that. Like, you see the person, you don't see the tattoos. Versus if you're somebody that isn't used to that, tattoos can be intimidating. Tattoos can make you have a perception of somebody before they even open their mouth, regardless of what it is. If it's a cross, a teardrop, devil horns, whatever it is, you're going to perceive that person a certain way. So his tattoos didn't really throw me off. His conversation didn't throw me off. It wasn't until we got into the courtroom that I saw another side of Demon. Now, when you go to court in Hillsborough County, it's wide open. So you come in shackled up. There's 2 rows, and you pretty much just sit down in the rows. There's no glass in front of you. I mean, if you wanted to jump over, you could jump over the bench. And you have everybody in the courtroom, you know, staring at you. So for this specific time, the judge was to the right, and then to the left was pretty much the whole audience and everybody else. The lawyers were in front of us, and there was probably maybe like 10, 12 of us that was sitting there, and Demon was to the right of me. Me and him was sitting next to each other. And everybody was going before us. They're just calling names. You just stand up. They go over your stuff. Your public defender or your lawyer will come up and talk to you. Whatever. And one by one, they just started calling people. Once they stood up, they were done. They got taken back to the holding cell, all the way down to when it was just me and Demon. Now, I'm thinking I'm supposed to go because this is supposed to be either his trial, pre-trial, I forget whatever it was, but they called his name instead of mine. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, why haven't they called me? Like, what is going on with this? You know what I'm saying? But they call his name or whatever, and they take him into the back. So normally you only go into the back when your case is done. They took him back there and let him dress up into a suit. So he came back in handcuffed in a nice suit, you know what I mean? Like, he cleaned up. He looked like a normal person again, aside from the tattoos. Sat down next to me. They called his case. He stood up. He said his name. I noticed when he came back, he was staring at somebody. And when I say staring at somebody, it was the most menacing look. It was almost vicious. Like, when you could just, I'm looking over at him without trying to be too obvious about it, without trying to be like, you know, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean? Because we just had a normal conversation. He told me he's from West Tampa. He's originally from the islands, but he grew up in the West. This, that, and the third. We're talking about different tattoo artists that we both know mutually, and gang members and people from his area, people from my area, whatever. And now I see him, and his whole face is just cut off. And he's just looking like, and he's just staring like as if he's just, you know, that fire was lit inside of him. That's what I always try to compare it to, because that's the feeling that I had when I saw my co-defendant. So I start looking into the direction of where he's looking, and I see this guy in a button-up shirt, smaller black dude, short cut hair, no tattoos on his face, just looks like a regular dude. The judge calls him up to the stand. He gets up, and he's somewhat, you know, holding his stomach a little bit. And his button-up shirt, it's tucked in. He's got regular jeans on. You know, he came and tried to look, you know, semi-professional or whatever you want to call it. And he goes and he sits down on the stand. I'm wondering why the fuck I'm even in here, because I'm assuming that if this is a trial or something, I should have been done before this. Like, I don't know why they never called my name or why I'm present for this. But the guy sits down, and Demon, the whole time, his eyes followed him from where he was sitting all the way to when he took the stand. And Demon's eyes never got off of him. And he leaned forward a little bit. He just started breathing heavy. And I'm looking like, oh, shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm about to find out some shit. This guy did something. I don't know what's going on. So the judge goes through the whole nine, asks dude his name. And they asked him, you know, to tell the story of what happened. And he said that he was standing on his porch, if I remember correctly. He was standing on his porch when a white car pulled up. When the white car pulled up, out of the driver's side, a man got out and began firing shots. And he said something along the lines of he felt pain immediately once he started hearing these shots going off. And the guy that got out of the car walked closer to him, basically standing over him, and kept shooting him. They asked him who shot him, and he said his name. They asked him, is he present, and can you point him out? And he points to fucking Demon sitting right next to me. So I'm looking over like, oh, okay, you're not just a tattoo artist, you're a fucking hitman apparently. You got out of the car and shot the shit out of this dude and then stood over him and shot him some more, and some fucking how he's up here breathing. And I mean, they got further into it. They spoke on how he's on a, I don't know the proper term, what is it, a colostomy bag? But he's on a shit bag, you know what I'm saying, for the rest of his life. Or they said it's going to be for the rest of his life because of how many bullets he took inside of his body. He was limping up to the podium before he sat. And it looked a little bit dramatic, but after hearing he got shot like 7 or 8 fucking times, I kind of understood why he had a little bit of a fucked up walk. You know, I don't think you're going to be walking perfect after you get shot that many times. But to be having a conversation with somebody that I'm thinking is just a tattoo artist, he never said really why he was locked up. I didn't know what it was. And he's talking to me like, oh yeah, if you get out, you're good. If you're facing time, we'll see what happens. It's making me think like, oh, you must have something that isn't that serious. You in here for attempted fucking murder. You shot the shit out of him. Like, what the fuck is this? So I'm just like paying attention to the case. Like, damn, boy, like this one, now I know why they call him Demon. It was not a shocker. I wouldn't say it shocked me. But it was the first time I started to be around people that I don't know, that I have to somewhat try to figure out. Because they may tell you this, they may tell you that, and then you find out who they are. And the thing that's always been more so powerful to me is not what you tell me about you, but what they tell me about you. If you come up and you tell me you're a killer, you're about it, da-da-da, I'm just sitting here like, yeah, all right, yeah. But when other people come up to me and tell me about you, hey, it's rumored like he's whacking shit. Hey, that boy there, he's shooting shit for real. It's a different perception because your actions are speaking for you instead of you speaking for you like most people do. And I never saw him again. You know, I actually never even got to stand up in court. They asked the judge what was up with me. And they were basically like, we don't even know why he's here. Like, I don't know why he was brought to court today. So my court date got pushed back again. It was pretty much a waste of my fucking time. And I never saw Demon again. I don't know if he beat that case. When we went back into the holding cell, you know, he was saying that it's going to be continued. But it was just, when he came back into the cell, the aggression and the vicious look that he had, the heavy breathing, the emotion of seeing the person that's saying he shot him, it was gone. He just came back in and he was like, yeah, so what we were talking about the tattoos? I'm just like, bro, tattoos? Like, nah, we wasn't talking about what? Like, I was just thrown off by how he just so easily jumped back into the conversation. And throughout my county bid, I met more people that had charges like this, that were in there for killing or allegedly killing or attempting to kill, people that had really hurt people in an extreme way. And some of these people, I had some of the best conversations with. Some of these people were very down to earth. Some of them, their conscience was on another level. Their knowledge was on another level. Their advice was on another level, but because it was coming from a different standpoint. It's either coming from somebody that's already about to lose their life and be sentenced forever. It's somebody that knows what it's like to gamble with their life by taking another or being involved in a situation like that. And now they have to go to trial and they're going through the stresses of, am I ever going to see the other side of the fence again? Or is this going to be the rest of my life? And being able to communicate and talk to these people at the age of 18 years old, I was able to get a lot of knowledge and understanding without having to go through the experiences that they went through to find that knowledge and understanding, if that makes sense. As long as you can keep your fucking mouth shut and your ears open inside of jail or prison, it can become the best learning experience you ever go through in your life. And that's why I say prison was one of the best things that's ever happened to me, because whether it's directly or indirectly, there's something you can learn from everybody. And I was able to learn so much just from a simple conversation with somebody that turned out to be an attempted murderer. I was able to learn so much from someone that I can have a regular conversation with and find out that they're really this. Because the people I associated with on the street, we wanted to be involved with that shit. Versus a lot of these other guys that I met were regular guys. They would tell you about their family. They would tell you about their job, how they were working here, how they own this business, that business. And then you find out what they're in there for, and they got a triple homicide. And you're just like, what? Like, he wasn't talking about none of that gangster shit. He wasn't talking about... I found out I can't stereotype people. And I found out I need to have the ability to read somebody. Because just as easy as we had a conversation about this tattooing and this and that conversation could have went anywhere else. And even though he had the size and everything, I honestly wasn't intimidated. But at the same time, I'm speaking to somebody that's very capable of taking life. You know, when you get locked up, there's a lot of people that either have nicknames or give themselves nicknames. A lot of people don't go by the name that they were on the street. When you hear of something like Demon, you know, he could be named Demon because tattoos or whatever it is. But to hear his name and then to hear why he was arrested and locked up, it made sense to me. It was like, all right, this is why they call him Demon. This is why he doesn't believe in prayer. This is why, you know, he seems to focus his energy in this direction. But at the same time, the way he's able to hold a conversation and run game like that, not that he was trying to be perceived as something else, it just completely caught me off guard. Especially the fact that he didn't tell me his charges, but I told him mine. And from that point on, anyone that asked me about my charges, I want to hear yours first. Because he was able to almost entrap me through conversation. What are your charges? Oh, I'm in here for this, this, and that. What are yours? Oh, nothing major. And nothing major turned out to be shooting the shit out of somebody. It was fucking crazy. But hey, like I said, there's something to learn from any given situation. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. The guy didn't die. Hopefully, you know, he was able to put that behind him and continue finding success through tattooing. But I got some more county stories coming for y'all. Like I said, I got the story about when somebody told me I couldn't bang blood in the county jail. And I got some souped up interviews coming for y'all out of Florida this time. We're going to be jumping around to some new states. So y'all stay tuned. It's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all. Y'all rocking with me. Till next time.